Welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host, Owen James, the channel that brings you your team every single day, all the latest on Rangers. We're going to look ahead to tomorrow's 3 o'clock kickoff as Rangers play their first home game at Hampden Park against Motherwell, an injury-ravaged Motherwell side missing a number of very key players and some injury doubts over a player that we are particularly interested in at Rangers. So, look, this game tomorrow, it's the first home game, obviously after the draw at Tynecastle. And given the state that Motherwell are currently in, it is a real sort of early must-win game, with Celtic obviously winning their first game of the season to be 2 points clear of us already and obviously having a vastly superior goal difference already. It is a game that we obviously must go out and win, and not only just win, but put on a performance as well. I think that is absolutely vital. And obviously, the last time the two clubs met at Ibrox, it was a particularly awful game for Rangers. Rangers obviously losing that game, a game that probably, threw away our title hopes in a way. It was sort of the start of the malaise came from that game. Also in that game, if you remember as well, there was the absolutely awful tackle on Ross McCausland, which led to McCausland being injured. A tackle that was deemed perfectly acceptable by the referee at the time, despite the fact that it was, out of control. It was dangerous and put Ross McCausland in danger. A foul that in any other game would end up in a sending off. And I think if it had been Ross McCausland on Dan Casey, it would have definitely been a sending off. So let's have a little look back at the sort of records of the two teams coming into tomorrow's game. So the last 5 games between Motherwell, Rangers have won 4 and there has been 0 draws, and Motherwell obviously winning the last game that was at Ibrox. So, going right back to December the 28th, a 3-0 win at home against Motherwell. There was a 4-2 away at Fir Park, a 1-0 at home against Ibrox. I think that was the one that Matonda hit the shot and it hit Dessa's arse and went in. There was a 2-0 away win for Rangers at Fir Park, and obviously the last game we played was a 2-1 defeat, and what was a absolutely abject performance from Rangers that day, a genuinely piss poor performance. I mean, looking at the overall record in this fixture between the two clubs, there's been 57 games between Rangers and Motherwell. There's been 39 wins for Rangers, 4 for Motherwell. That's only 4 wins for Motherwell. Looking on that realistic, strategy of they've only won 4 times against us. Granted, their last win was our last game against them, but this shouldn't be a game that we are heading into with any sort of trepidation or worry. Especially obviously given their injury worries. And it seems interesting, doesn't it, that we're actually going into a game where it's not us that's got all the injury worries. It's the opposition that has all the injury worries. Yes, I know we're missing Cortez, for example, and Nicholas Raskin, but it's them that have got, I think it's 8 players missing potentially on Saturday. So 39 wins for Rangers, 4 for Motherwell, 14 draws. Which is, look, at the end of the day, it happens, doesn't it? I mean, sometimes we get the odd boring draw with a low block against us and we can't break it down, and we have a particularly shocking performance that day. Overall, Rangers have scored 131 goals and conceded less than 50, only 49 goals conceded in those 57 games. I mean, so, if you look at that fact of that 139 goals in 57 games, that is averaging just over 2 goals a game against Motherwell, and the 49 goals conceded in 57 is averaging less than a goal a game. It's averaging about 0.85 goals per game. So the statistics would appear to indicate a 2-0 win or a 3-0 win, but obviously we know that football is not played on paper. You can see the goals allowed there, and obviously the goals allowed per game. Rangers obviously that 2.3, 0.86. You can see those statistics there on the paper. So, look, we have a dominant record against Motherwell. This is a game that really shouldn't hold any fear for Rangers. It really shouldn't be a case of worrying about what Motherwell are going to do, worrying how Motherwell are going to play. And Stuart Kettlewell himself is under pressure, after their first game of the season where they drew 0-0 with Ross County. There was some calls online that I saw from some Motherwell fans demanding Stuart Kettlewell's dismissal very early in the season for that. I mean, I must admit, I don't really know what is going on at Motherwell. I don't pay a fantastic amount of attention to them because I'm not a Motherwell fan and I genuinely couldn't give a monkeys. I only really care when obviously it comes to them playing us. I mean, looking back across their results record, obviously they started in the League Cup group stage. So they drew 0-0 with Ross County in their first Scottish League game. Before that, there was a 0-0 draw against Partick Thistle. That was in the League Cup group stage, and they lost 3-1 on penalties, I believe, in that game. They beat Clyde 3-1. They beat Montrose on penalties. They beat Edinburgh City 3-0. They beat Linlithgow Rose 4-2. They beat Livy 2-1 on the final day of that was in pre-season. So their pre-season games, 2-2 with 20. Interesting. And their last ever game last season was a 2-1 home defeat to St Johnstone. Before that, 3-0 defeat to Hibernian, a 5-1 win against Ross County. So their results are extremely mixed. Apparently, they have brought in some 11 summer signings. I read in the media this morning, 11 summer signings. So they've even done more business than us in terms of actually bringing in players to the club. So that's fascinating. There's obviously been a commitment there from the Motherwell board. Obviously, I mean, it wouldn't have been a massive financial commitment because they're not going to be a club with a huge financial resource, are they? I mean, let's just face it, it's not the situation. There is only Rangers and Celtic who have those financial resources. Well, that's arguable, I suppose. They've spent very little, actually. Even though they have brought in 11 players, apparently they've only spent 308,000 according to Transfer Market, and actually got 1.9 million in. So they've actually made a 1.59 million pound profit on their transfer window. They brought in a centre forward called an Australian called Stama Tepelusis, who's 25 years old, from Newcastle in the A-League in Australia. Liam Gordon from St Johnstone. They brought in Ross Callaghan, a central midfielder from Ross County. Kutrombis, a central midfielder from Perth Glory. Stuparevic from Domzale. I think that's Slovenia. Zach Robinson, a centre forward from AFC Wimbledon. Andy Halliday, many of you will know from Heart of Midlothian of Hearts. They've brought in Steve Seddon from Oxford. They've brought in Kofi Balmer from Palace under 21s. They've brought in Tom Sparrow from Stoke under 21s. And they've brought in Christian Heige, a goalkeeper from West Ham on loan. And they've also brought in Marvin Caletta, a right back on loan from Wolves. They sold Theo Blair to Auxerre. That was a player that Rangers were allegedly interested in for 1.9 million. They obviously lost Blair Spittle. They lost Liam Kelly, Barry Maguire, Beavis Mugabe. I wonder if he's got a brother called Butthead. Ricky Lambie, Callan Elliott, Ross Tierney, Callum Butcher, Jonathan Abika, who retired. So they've lost all those players this summer. Obviously, Theo Blair is their biggest miss, because obviously Theo Blair was a player that caused Rangers a whole host of problems in that 2-1 defeat at Ibrox. Last time out, Motherwell lined up like this with a 3-4-1-2. I would suggest, with the probable absence of Lennon Miller, that's probably going to be more a 3-5-2 or even a 5-3-2 against Rangers. A low block will definitely be employed, I think. Dan Casey, the thug that took out Ross McCausland, is still in the team. Is Ross going to go in for an equaliser on him? I highly doubt it. Gordon, Blaney, their back three. Oxborough is their goalkeeper. O'Donnell, Zvradkov, Halliday, Wilson and Miller in their midfield, and Zach Robinson, formerly of Wimbledon, and Abeyi, their strikers. That was their team that played in the 0-0 draw against Ross County. I would suggest there may be some changes made to that team. Now, obviously, they have an awful lot of players missing from this tie. A lot of players who will be absent. Chief amongst them, there's a very, very strong rumour that Lennon Miller will not play because he's injured, not because he's about to transfer to Rangers. I know the conspiracy theorists have been out in force trying to put that 2 and 2 together, make 6. Sam Nicholson, another major player for them, is also missing as well. Stuart Cowell was quoted as saying the Sam Nicholson one was disappointing as we were getting to the latter stages of his rehab, and there was a lapse, a breakdown. And from there, we're seeking the best possible guidance. We are quite far down with what we think it is and what comes next. We know it's an injury that keeps him out for a significant period of time. He went on to say, with some of the injuries, it's been an impact and unavoidable. With some of it, we are trying to limit time on the pitch for players to make sure they're fit and able to play in games. It gets to the point just now where we really can't train much, less than we are to prepare a group of players playing on Saturday. It's been a difficult juggling act. I was happy with some of the business we'd done over the close season, and we are going to have to wait a significant amount of time for some of these guys to take to the pitch. In terms of players that will be missing, he said that Filip Stipurevic, Shane Blaney and Ross Callahan will be added to the injury list on top of the long-term absentees at Motherwell. And he said that Lennon Miller was highly doubtful. He says, I think we sit about 8 out now. Some clubs can absorb it and it wouldn't have any kind of impact without being disrespectful. We aren't talking about some of our teenagers. It's a bona fide first team player, so that puts a strain on selection and protection on the guys out there. He said Lennon was carrying a bit of a knot going into the weekend. It was a whack he took. It was another whack on Saturday, hence why he came off the pitch. He's highly doubtful for the game on Saturday and has not trained with us this week. So, Motherwell are a team pretty much in a very poor state at this moment in time, with a number of players, 8 players missing, including probably their best player, Lennon Miller, who, even though he's only 17, 18 years old, is, someone I know that we have been very highly interested in at Rangers. He's a quality player, very skillful, great use of the ball, very, a top player, and caused us a lot of trouble in that last game. So, it's good news, I think, that he will be missing for Motherwell. And, I hate to use this phrase and I hate to say this, but, you've got to kind of act realistically in this situation and really talk honestly in this situation. Motherwell are there for the taking. They really are. And, if Rangers don't go out there on Saturday and put in a performance and put Motherwell to the sword, then big questions do need to be asked of the suitability of this squad to compete in the Scottish League for titles and to stay on a level pegging with our city neighbours. Now, in terms of Rangers, obviously, we will be without Oscar Cortez, who is continuing, obviously, his rehab. Probably another month out. Nicholas Raskin is, I think, got another 3-4 weeks out, so he will also be missing as well. This video, I'm recording this ahead of the press conference, so it may be that the press, there is other revelations about players who are injured, players who are not ready, players who are not ready to start. Now, look, I mean, realistically, in terms of team selection, Clement is probably going to play 4-2-3-1. I mean, that's what he's probably going to play. I mean, that's what I would suggest he's going to play, a 4-2-3-1 of some description. In terms of the lineup that he will go with, I think, to be honest with you, it will be a lineup that is very similar to the one that took the field on Tuesday night. I think that I can't see there being a whole host of changes because we don't have the strength in depth at this moment in time to make those changes. Look, realistically, what do I think he'll start? How do I think he'll play this game? He'll play the 4-2-3-1 again, which obviously changes to 4-4-2 at times. Can change to. There is some flexibility in that formation. So I'd hope certainly that Scott Wright is nowhere near the team. I think. Hopefully now the penny has genuinely dropped with him that he is really not up to the task of playing football. I mean, the fact that that Scott Wright has been hooked in half-time in both games now and has been largely anonymous in both games. You've got to kind of sit there and realistically kind of think, well, hopefully, with Philippe Clement, the penny has dropped that Scott Wright is not Rangers quality, that the guy is just very, very poor. He's a player that runs around, puts in a lot of effort, tries really hard. I mean, there's nothing against him in terms of his effort and the effort he puts in on a football field. It's brilliant, but the fact that he is just so bad at football, hopefully that means that Tierney will start. In terms of what I think he will select, Clement, that's what I'm talking about here. I think this will be Clement's team, if I'm being honest. This is a team I think he'll put out there. Butland, Tav, Balogun, Suter and Ridvan. I think he'll go with the same back four from Tuesday night. Yes, James Tavernier unfortunately will start again. Sterling is fit now. I really don't know why. If you're not going to go with 3 in midfield, you would not play Sterling over Tavernier at right back. He's the better right back. He's a better tackler. He's more defensively sound. He's just an all-round player than James Tavernier. So I really don't understand how you'd pick Tavernier ahead of Sterling. Sorry. Suter and Balogun, I think, will start in the centre because I think Robin Propper will probably still have some furniture to build, or probably still won't be fresh enough, or probably hasn't trained enough, or something. There'll be some excuse why he can't start. Barron and Diamande, well, that's a given. Those two are excellent. I mean, they're absolutely fantastic. I mean, I absolutely adore. Shut the door. I absolutely adore those two. They're top talents. They're just brilliant players, and I think they are. Probably the best midfield pairing in Scotland right now. They are genuinely that good. And Connor Barron has just been a revelation since he joined the club. His effort, his heart, his battling has just been superb. Cheney, I think, has to start on the right side ahead of Scott Wright. Cheney, looked a player on Tuesday. That ball he put in for Dessa's goal was absolutely superb. He'll start Lawrence in the 10, even though I thought Lawrence was fairly poor on Tuesday night. McCausland, I think, or Matondo will start left side. I think the sensible option will be to go with Hefte at left wing, but I don't think Clermont will do that. He will come up with some reason why Hefte can't start left wing. He's a new player. He hasn't settled in enough. He can't, etc., etc. There'll be some reason why he can't start. And Dessers probably will start up top with obviously the continuing strangeness around the Danilo absence. Of course, Danilo, who is not fit enough to play football, but is fit enough to sit on the bench, which, as I discussed on the podcast last night, just seems utterly bizarre. I would love to see us do something different in this game. Try something different. Go out there with a different shape, a different formation. I'll be honest with you, Tom Lawrence, Alex Lowry, whoever, we haven't got a proper 10. There is no one in this squad who is the quality of, say, a Todd Cantwell at 10, or the quality of, a real proper offensive 10. So I would like to see us abandon the 10, get rid of the 10. I would like to see us go with personally like to see us go with a 4-3-3. Given the fact that it's only Motherwell we're playing and they're not in a great place, I would go with Jack Butland in goal. I think, obviously, I'd play Dujon Sterling at right back over James Tavernier every single day and twice on a Sunday. The guy is just streets ahead of Tavernier. He can actually defend. Balogun and Propper would be my central defensive partnership. We need to sort of start to form a central defensive partnership. The one area of the squad you don't need to be rotating is the defence. You look at the great teams of the past. Yes, there was some rotation in midfield or up front, but you never rotated your back four. You kept your back four, your back five the same. So for me, Balogun and Propper, unless we go out and sign another centre back before the transfer window closes, are our best two centre backs. Now, that's obviously Leon's 36. I know that, but he's still, for me, head and shoulders above Suter and Davis. Leon Balogun is just fantastic. I absolutely love Leon to bits. He's one of my favourite players. Propper, we need to start to see him. We need to start to see what we've got. He's a leader. I think that's what we need if you're going to go with Dujon. But, I think with Balogun and Propper in the central defence, you've got two leaders, two warriors, two people who are going to go to battle for this club. So that's why I would go with those two. Yilmaz on the left-hand side as the left back. I would go with a midfield 3. Now, I don't think this is ever going to happen because I just don't understand why Clermont is so rigid in the 4-2-3-1 and why he doesn't trust Bailey Rice. I would put Bailey Rice in there tomorrow. Bailey has minutes under his belt now. He's played a fair few B-team games. He played in pre-season. He is fit again now. Bailey's a defensive 6. Maybe we can actually save ourselves some money. Bailey Rice, when he did play against Livingston a couple of seasons back, actually looked a very good player. With Bailey, Rice and Barron there, Barron will go forward a little bit more. Rice will sit. And then you put Diamande further forward to go and influence the game more. I just think having Diamande pushed on gives him the chance to get the ball into Dessers or out to Cheney or out to Hefte to really use the ball well. We've seen that when Diamande gets the ball further up the park and isn't taking it from deep, he is so much more effective. So that's what, that's how I'd like to see us play. I'd go with Hefte on the left, Cheney on the right. I mean, the cross accuracy statistics from Tuesday night were alarming. I mean, James Tavernier's cross accuracy on Tuesday night was, I think, about 20, 28, 29%. Hefte's was 44%. So Hefte for me looked absolutely superb when he came on. He did look really, really good. So I would love to see Hefte start on the left wing. I mean, he's got pace to burn. He's got the ability to go past people, and his delivery, from on the run, from standing, is brilliant. He is quality at delivering the ball into the box. So for me, Hefte at left wing has to start. Do I think Clermont will do that? No. He'll probably start Scott Wright out there or Robbie Matondo out there, which for me is just a huge, huge mistake. Matondo is just awful. Scott Wright is worse than awful. So Hefte for me, would be the right move in this game. Tierney, I want to see Tierney play. I think he's a better player all round than anything we've got on the wing at this moment in time. So let's see what we've got. It's Motherwell. If Tierney can't go out there and rip it up against Motherwell, perhaps he isn't a player. So that's something we do need to see. And Dessers obviously will start up front because of the continuing is he fit, isn't he fit of Danilo and the uncertainty around him as a player. I hope that at some point on Saturday we get to see at least 10 to 15 minutes of Danilo. I think if you're ever going to get this guy fit again, ever get this guy back match fit again, you've got to play him. You've got to play him. So I don't understand this refusal not to actually use him. Okay, guys, thank you for watching the preview. This is preview, obviously, of the game tomorrow. Predictions for tomorrow, I'm going to go for a 2-1 Rangers victory at Hampden Park. Guys, obviously, let me know your predictions in the comments down below. Also, as well, please let me know what you think the lineup will be. How would you start the game tomorrow? Like I said, I want to see us move away from this traditional 4-2-3-1 we use. Go for the 4-3-3. I know a lot of you want to say see two up front, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. Very few clubs these days play with two up front, and I can't ever see Clermont going to two up top, if I'm being honest. Thanks for watching. On the way out, please smash that like, and remember always, we are the people.